we don't always get it right, and that's okay. You got to give yourself the permission to not get it right. My biggest tips for people going from a startup to a scale-up journey, it's easy to be sold, and it's easy to get excited by somebody's experiences and the things that they've done or they've told you they've done. But I think the best way to really kind of validate that is look for people that have been on a journey in similar situational stages.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand, and damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credit.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. From Lambs to Lions, we are checking in here with Nathan Chan, owner and CEO of Foundr. Welcome, mate.
Thanks so much for having me, Rhys. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always awesome to do local shows. And it's just great to meet people in person.
Yeah, that is something that I have taken for granted heavily over the last couple of years of what we've been through. That those in-person conversations and interactions, I don't think you can beat it in a podcast space.
No, it's awesome.
How have you gone? Like, obviously you have your own platform where you have conversations very similar to this with people all over the world. How do you find that, like, trying to actually create that initial connection, relationship with people, trying to really dive into some pretty complex topics?
So yeah, look, when it comes to doing interviews with people remotely, because most of our audience is in the United States, most of our customers in the United States, so most of our people that we interview in the United States.
Yeah.
Mum keeps calling me. So long story short, it's one of those things where you just can't build the kind of relationships that you'd like to.
Yeah.
I was even saying to Mark on the way here, like, there's so much potential for me to, like, kind of the people that we interview, like, why don't I try and get to know some of these people a little better? Like, it really, just from a networking standpoint or an adding value standpoint, like, these are some incredible people that I'm meeting and interviewing. But yeah, to build that connection it's not that easy.
I guess it's one of those things because, like, the people you're talking to are so highly held in such high regard that their time is so valuable. So it's not like you're going to get a really big opportunity in that time to just talk and build relationships. It's just straight to the conversation that they intended to be there for. Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, I think if I reflect on even the interviews I have done in person, I've done a lot in person as well. People are in and out.
Yeah.
Or they're doing like a full road show where they go back to back to back to back to back. And it's more of a press junket kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Like, it's not so special and intimate like this, right? Where you don't get to speak before, you don't get to speak after, we mutual friends, people that people that I know. Yeah. So it's a little different, but no doubt about it. I probably should be doing a better job there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that, like, even in your position, like, I'm sure we'll get into the journey that you've gone on through Foundr, but do you think even in your position that talking to these people, you're still learning new things now?
Oh, 110%. I'm always learning. And I think even if you're a billionaire, you're always learning. So for me, and I think I once learned about this concept called stage situational advice.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends. You can listen to Gary Vee and he can tell you that you should be, writing back to every single person's comment.
Yep.
But you might be in a certain stage of your business journey where you actually don't have time, or it's not the best interest of your time to be doing that, right?
Yeah.
So if we look at situational stage advice, for me, there's certain, like, levels that I'm going as I build Foundr, where certain stages that advice is really relevant to me, then certain stages that advice is really actionable and relevant to our audience, or certain stages where it could be relevant to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think, like, just touching on that, using that example of, like, a very inefficient means to create awareness of creating that commenting and cycling and repeating. I've said this before on this pod, I believe, but I'm of the opinion that inefficiency is a luxury, that in the early stages of a startup business, you have the luxury of being inefficient. You have the luxury of giving more time that people like yourself don't have the capacity to do so, which makes it easier, quote unquote, easier to gain distance than what it is that the competition potentially can create it.
Yeah. So look, when you're first starting, and if you haven't raised any money, so you don't have any capital behind you, you only have time, and you got nothing to lose, really. Like, you got no, if you're starting really raw, really fresh, you might have a couple of people working with you. You might not even be able to afford that. You might be just doing it all yourself, creating something from nothing.
Yep.
It's just really you and your time and how you effectively use it. But you could be grinding, you could be hustling, you could be, doing stuff, and it could be grossly ineffective. But as long as you're moving things forward slowly, like my thing when you're starting a business is like 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day, if you can commit to that for 6 months or a year, just like you brush your teeth before bed and when you wake up. How do you give yourself 30 minutes a day to do something actionable that moves the needle forward? So yeah, you can be inefficient with your time, but also you have to be efficient, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, you have to find portions, segments of effectiveness. Yeah. Just devil's advocate on that, like, because I know I can already hear the people saying like, okay, 30 minutes a day. What can really be achieved in 30 minutes a day? From your experience, do you feel like you work better in sprints or in long hauls?
Well, the cool thing about 30 minutes a day is just because you commit to 30 minutes a day doesn't mean you actually stop after 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's part of the trick, right? Like, I remember when I first started Foundr, I once heard this on a podcast, give it 30 minutes a day of commitment. I didn't make this up. For 6 months to 12 months, just commit to that and you'll be far better off than those 6 or 12 months ago. And what you find is you give it 30 minutes, but that 30 minutes turns into an hour, that hour turns into 2, that 2 hours turns into 3, and then before you know it, you started at 10 p.m. and it's 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Multiple nights like that.
Yeah, and that's how businesses are built. Like, I think there's no, in the early days, there's no substitute just for hard work, right? Like, if you seriously think you're just only going to spend 30 minutes a day for 6 months and you're going to build something meaningful, I think, I don't know if that exists. You might be able to, I don't know. It just depends of skills and experiences. But when I say 30 minutes a day, that just gets you going. That just gets that consistency. That just gets that showing up. That builds that habit. That builds that muscle. Like,
and it's that compounding effect of like just creating effectiveness will then create efficiency and so on. It will just kind of bleed through. Yeah,
100%. But you can definitely work smarter, not harder. And I've learned that as I've developed as a founder. No doubt about it.
Do you think that, what's your opinion on the burnout? Under that preface then, like, work smarter, not harder. Do you think burnout is just an inability to prepare? Or is it just like inability to say no?
Look, I've experienced burnout, and so I'll speak from my experience. I experienced burnout the start of last year, probably off the back of COVID. I'd never experienced burnout before. I used to just never stop.
Yeah.
Like, I would be just go. And then I just started feeling this incredible anxiety around work. And I didn't realize what it was. And I just realized, like, I wasn't right. Like, there's something wrong. And then I started to see someone and speak to them about it. And then I realized, hey, wait a second, I've experienced burnout here.
Yeah.
But like, I think it is the ability to say no, but then it's also the ability to manage your effectiveness too. I think
delegate appropriately too.
Yeah, 100%. I was doing so much. It was ridiculous. Like, we're talking about offline. That's when I realized I need to rebuild my leadership team.
Yep.
So, that was an interesting journey, and I can talk through all the things that I did to work through it and make sure I never get back there.
Yep.
But, that was a pretty big wake-up call.
I think that there's a bit of a dichotomy there of like, when we look at, burnout can be a reason as to why you need to then, take a look under the microscope and find what's wrong within the business that's not allowing you to facilitate all the other stuff. But then also on the other side of that coin of like what we were speaking about before, where you can become completely detached and you don't know what's going on. I think like both end up in that same outcome where you end up just having to go, well, what the fuck's wrong? Why is it this way? And it's a very, for me, like I've looked at points where I've been really in the trenches and just doing everything, not then moving so fast that I lose all peripherals and lose that ability to pivot at any given point. But then also when you detach too far, it's like, you got to find this middle ground. It's very hard.
Yeah, look, I think it's an interesting one. I remember I used to have the title, still do, as CEO.
Yeah.
When you start your company, you know, you think you're cool, you got
Yeah.
the CEO title. But the real joke is you're not really a CEO. You're a self-appointed CEO to that title because you own the business or you started the business, or you've got to have somebody that everyone goes to of who's making the final call, right? But when you really get into things, you learn about leadership.
Yeah.
And you learn about delegation. You learn about holding people to account. You learn about strategy. You learn about focus. You learn about aligning your team. You learn about making sure communication spreads. You look at all these different things, and that's what it really takes to be an effective leader.
Do you think that's what it also takes to have a call it what it is, a profitable business? Like without all of that, do you think cash flow just won't ever get to where it needs to?
No, you can get there. I think you can build a one-person business that's super profitable, right? But I think eventually it gets to a point, because we all know it's never enough, right? It's never enough. And I've spoken to, billionaires, multi-billionaires, people that have built, some of the most visited websites on the world, all sorts of impactful products or services. And I've asked them this question, is it ever enough? And they always say no, right? So if we just accept the fact that it's never enough, then wherever your business is at, you're always going to want more. Like, and in that game that you tell yourself, or that thing that you tell your mind, oh, as soon as I hit this is going to be amazing. So we tell ourselves that, and we know when we hit that, we're going to go, okay, what's next? Because growth, happiness is growth. Growth equals happiness, right? Progress equals happiness, as Tony Robbins would say. And as human beings, that's what we want. We want to evolve.
Yes.
Right? So I think if we know all these things to be true, then inherently your business is going to get to a stage. Maybe this isn't for everyone. Sometimes people push so hard and they go, you know what? Scale up is not for me.
Yeah, I think growth is a choice.
Yeah, growth is a choice. But for a lot of us, growth-minded people like myself or yourself, you get to a point where you have to hire people, right? You can't do it by yourself. And when you get to that point, then effectively it comes down to your leadership ability. Now, you can get by when you have a small team of 5, 10, 15 people, even 20 people. But once you get past, I'd say 20, 30 plus, then you really need to understand what it takes to be an effective CEO, an effective leader. And I'm not sitting here saying I've worked it all out, but I'm sitting here saying I've got battle scars and I've been learning those lessons these past few years. And it's one of those things where, like if you want to avoid burnout, then you need to build trust, right? You need to have trust in your people, and that's part of leadership. And you need to, give them a go, and you need to hold them to account, and you have to be prepared to have uncomfortable conversations, and you need to, set realistic targets, and those targets shouldn't be always set by you per se. They should be set by that person, and it's got to be clear who's owning what, and it's actually quite difficult.
Yeah, I think what I've noticed in all the business owners that I've spoken to, even just in this platform, that the upper echelon of growth comes with added layers of management and added layers of leadership, so that one person isn't just plugging into everyone, creating that leadership role. It's actually something that's multi-directional, and it travels in all directions, that leadership. And I think just like we were speaking to someone, just recently that owns like a pretty successful automotive app, right? And his whole scale-up story was just hiring the right people in the right roles and taking the time to do so, which it leads me to I have a question just based on Foundr, and like I guess this will probably open up the start story, but surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals and other people who have paved the way, led the way. Was Foundr a selfish venture for you that you were like, I just want to be around other people that know leadership and know business? Is that where, like, was there ever a thought where you just wanted to be around like-minded people?
Nah.
Nah. Where did it come from for you then?
Honestly, it came from this desire and need to do work that I enjoy, to do work that fulfills me, to do work that lights me up. That was the selfishness. The selfishness wasn't the problem I was trying to solve.
Yep.
Now I'm passionate about the problem.
Yep.
But the selfishness was, what can I do for me that life is too short to not do work you don't enjoy?
Yep.
That was the selfishness. It wasn't, hey, I want to learn from really smart people. These are all the benefits that come with what I do and fortunate position I'm in. But that just came just by nature.
Did you plan Foundr to be what it is?
No way.
What was the original like conceptualized thought process like?
Conceptualized thought process was, hey, I'm like, life is too short. I hate working in IT. I'm, this identity I have is not one that I want for the rest of my life. The work that I'm doing doesn't fulfill me. Hey, I want to go and find work that I enjoy, and life's too short not to do that. And then that led me to getting a master's of marketing, going back to uni part-time while I was working full-time, and then literally couldn't get a job in marketing because I had no experience. And then one person, when I got feedback why I didn't get a marketing job, he said, I think it'd be really cool if you showed me some sort of project that you worked on. And then that led me to wanting to combine my passions with technology and marketing to online marketing. And then that led me to, okay, maybe I can create this digital magazine for fun and use this to get a job. Then that led me to taking that magazine to job interviews and still not getting a job after the first couple of months. And then that was like, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm really enjoying it. And that is as far as I got. And I didn't know how much further it would go. And then I've just been kind of going ever since. And like, it's kind of crazy because I actually didn't want to be a CEO. Like I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to do work I enjoyed. That's where it all started.
What built you to the point, or what I guess maybe broke you to the point of hating normality of a normal 9-to-5 job, or that the alternative?
Yeah, I think it's easy to bash a traditional 9-to-5 job. For me, it was not so much the 9-to-5 or the hours, because let's be honest, you and I
we work
infinitely
infinitely more.
Correct. And the highs are high and the lows are low, and like there's some insanely tough times, right? Like where I've had, days where I've woken up crying because it's that hard.
Likewise.
Right. So it's not so much the 9-to-5, it was more the work itself, right?
Fulfilling.
Like, it wasn't fulfilling. And if you think about it, we spend, I think it's 1/3 of your life sleeping and then 2/3 of your life working.
Yep.
So what are you going to do those 2/3? Like if you're in a 9-to-5, or if you're doing work that you're not passionate about or it doesn't light you up, then it's on you to make a change. Like if you look at I always find this really interesting. I hope it doesn't sound depressing, but like I've read these Reddit threads where they somebody's on their deathbed or palliative care, and they talk about like their top 10 regrets, and you can Google this, and one of the always in the top 10 is the work that person's doing, the career that they chose. And I just didn't want to live that way. I didn't want to live a life of regret for not being in a career or doing work that I was passionate about.
I find it interesting that, like, and I'll quote you from a previous, interview, that given the opportunity to tell your younger self something, the answer was just have more fucking fun. Just go travel more, don't worry much, and just go do the stuff. Do you think that's come from a hindsight perspective, like now that you've done all the work? Or do you think it's something that has more come from like the work never fulfilled you as much as you thought it would? Oh,
no. The work has definitely fulfilled me as much as I thought it would, and I will keep working on this business forever.
Yep.
It's more, I think in my younger years, probably from about 18 to 24 or even up until I started Foundr, I didn't travel enough. I probably didn't have as much fun. And then when you start a business, unless you start it strategically to make a lifestyle business, before you know it, you've got all these staff, you've got all these responsibilities. And yeah, for me, if I could do it all over again, I would have gone harder before I started Foundr around having more fun and traveling the world. And don't get me wrong, I've traveled quite a lot, but I just, for whatever reason, I didn't feel that I fully fulfilled that. And I think when you're young, like I remember when I was like uni days, like I wish I had did an exchange program, like multiple exchange programs. I did one. I wish I had done multiple. When I was 22, 23, I was worried about going out and looking cool and all this ridiculous stuff. But really what I should have been doing is traveling the world, getting to know myself. And when I say travel more as well, I think travel is such a incredible gift that you can give yourself when it comes to perspective.
I agree.
Right. It like that's how I started Foundr. Like I did a big Europe trip, first time to Europe, and I went with my best mate at the time, who's now unfortunately passed away, and it was like 8 weeks, and it was the best thing ever, and like I was having so much fun, not a care in the world. And that's when I realized there's no way I can go back to that job. Like I'm dreading it so much. Like I've got to make a change. And that was the perspective. It's the gift of perspective that travel gives you. So that's another reason why I'd say travel more, because I probably would have worked out who I wanted to be, who I am as well. You learn so much about yourself.
Yeah.
I think part of any journey that you go on, especially starting a business, you really need to work on cultivating that self-awareness and really working out who you are. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you want from life, right? If you're just starting a business to fill a void, then you're probably not going to make it.
Yeah, man, I can actually attest to that massively. Like I did a similar thing. Went to Europe. We did 12 weeks, first time overseas. And I was like with 4 of my best mates. I remember having pretty much, it was like, the only way I can describe it is like an out-of-body experience. We were in Mykonos. We were on a cliff. And, like here, this might just be a me thing, right? But when you breathe in through your nose, always one of your nostrils seems to be blocked and you can't breathe properly, and things just don't work, right? I remember standing on this cliff and we're looking out at the view and I could breathe. And I sat there and I was like, man, when I get back, I'm changing everything. Because at the time I was working in person, trading exclusively time for money in the fitness industry still, but I was doing 70-hour work weeks just in the gym. And I got back, I'm like, I'm making an online business. I'm changing this because I want to be able to do more of this other stuff and enjoy it. And I don't think, like to your point, if you start strategically, sure, but I don't think many businesses are started out of strategy. I think they're started out of maybe desperation or necessity. What's going on, everyone? Hope you're well. I won't keep you too long. I know you're hopefully enjoying the podcast. And if you are, let us know. It would be really greatly appreciated if you can jump on, give us a quick 5-star review. You don't even need to stop listening to the show. If you're on Spotify, you can do it in less than 10 seconds. And it does help the show grow a lot. It helps us, get a bit of confirmation bias that we're doing the right thing. And just to say thank you, if you guys do that, we're going to be picking one person every month to guest spot on the podcast that has shared, liked, commented, subscribed, and interacted with what we do. Big thank you. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, there is one consistent theme that I do see across a lot of the successful founders we interview, and that's that naivety.
Yeah. Like you have to have it.
Yeah, look, sometimes you don't have to. I don't know. I don't challenge you if you have to have it, but because you see some people that they're a successful executive and they understand the space, they understand how to run businesses, they understand the industry, and they partner up with another successful executive. And they just go out and murder it.
Yep.
Right? And that's pure strategy.
Yep.
That's no naivety. They know what they're doing and they're just going.
I think it's the naivety to I think you have to have this this good balance of the yin and yang of the ego to know that no one can defeat you. And then the naivety to know that to I guess disregard that it could all go wrong.
Yeah, I agree. You have to have this, you have to take a leap of faith and you have to be comfortable. Like I've talked about this before, in life, you choose the path that you're least afraid of, right? And for me, and I assume the same was with you after your Europe trip, there was path number 1 where you could just, keep doing what you're doing and, not being fulfilled, even though it's scary to make that change. Or path number 2 is that fear of regret of not doing it and more risk to not go off and try at least. And that, eventually, a lot of people, they say, well, they want to start a business but never do. Why? Because they're afraid. They're afraid of failing. They're afraid of, what if it doesn't work? They're afraid of judgment from others. They're afraid of they don't have a good enough business idea, so it's not going to work. These are the stories that we tell ourselves. And, if that path you're least afraid of is like, if I don't do this, this is, this is my path for me.
Yeah.
Then, you can see where things are going to go.
Yeah. Well, you're just going to live in regret too.
Yeah.
Like one of my mentors, Jack Delosa, he says this perfectly, that the human psyche is like a greedy capitalist. It will only ever do what it seeks and sees to be initially beneficial. So even when you're having an argument with someone that's in your business and you can snap, that initial snap is like initial return of like you feel powerful and you can move forward. But he also says, like, to follow that, an entrepreneur, a real entrepreneur will never grow into pain. We need to believe that it is less painful to take a different path. Scary, yes, but we need to believe that the outcome will ultimately be better. And otherwise we won't see the initial benefit and we won't take action. I think just like to your point, like, you need to take a risk. There needs to be a leap of faith, but you also need to believe that it's actually going to work. It can't just be a Hail Mary.
Yeah. And you've got to have something there to kind of go, like, I think I can make this work, or let's see how it goes, or I've got nothing to lose, or but I don't know how he got there, but the original question was, did I think that I'd build Foundr to where it is? No way.
When you launched, did you launch with like an MVP, like a minimum viable product, or did you go all in? Like,
so I did it how I think everyone should start a business, especially if you're not looking to raise capital or go big or whatever, have these big dreams and aspirations. I didn't have those.
Yep.
I started on the side, cost me $2,000 off the back of a credit card, $2,000, then probably maybe another 1,000 to fund operations in the magazine to create the first couple of issues. And the first day I launched, made $5.50. And that was just, the lesson there is like, how did I make money on the first day is because I was selling a product on a marketplace of buyers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you want to start a business and you sell on Amazon, right? Or, you want to start a gym down the road and there's a street, right? You're your first customer on day one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you can get a location where people, that's a very good point. I don't think people think that through too well. Like, where are the audience? Yeah,
that's right. Where's the starving crowd? So, that was the MVP. I launched the first edition, got 2 subscribers, and then was like, okay, now I've got to do issue number 2. Didn't even think about it because I was charging a monthly subscription and annual, and I was like, okay, well, now I've got to do issue number 2.
So what was, like, if we talk about the leaps of faith, like, are there any that stand out for you over the journey?
Too many. Yeah, too many. Look, I guess, some of the earlier ones, probably, just investing that money to start the business. I think even just, there was times when, before I launched Foundr, I was thinking of giving up.
Yeah.
I wasn't working that hard on it. There were times where, even in the early days, like, do I keep going with this? Am I onto something? Am I making like $100 a month or $200 a month? Do I have product market fit? Like, all sorts of leaps of faith. Like, people that you hire, the roles, investing in getting an office, like all sorts of things. We had a New York office at one point. We closed that down because of COVID. Now we're going to start one back up next year. There's so many leaps of faith. Like, just the people you hire. Like, we're talking about people. Like, fundamentally, businesses are built by people.
I fully agree.
And it's your job to go out and find the best possible people to help you build it.
Yep. I think it's 2 things. I think it's people and systems. I think people run the system, but like, obviously someone first needs to build it. And like, I have a thing that I say to my stuff all the time is process plus action equals system, but you need people to drive the ship. And without it, you're going to be spinning the wheels. Because if you don't have process and you don't have like an actual way of things to be done, you're going to be very slow.
Yeah, so you're a Michael Gerber guy, aren't you?
I have no idea who that is.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy, he wrote that big book on systems.
Apparently I need to read it, but no, I have no idea who he is.
What was the book's name? I forget. It's a famous book.
We'll pull it up, Pat.
Yeah. Because you said something about a technician before, and he talks about technicians. Yeah. The E-myth. The
E-myth.
E-myth.
You know what? You're not the first person to say this, because I've had a few of my mentoring clients say like, "Oh, have you read this?" I've still not read it. I've got no idea.
Yeah, because in that book he talks about like, because he said, are you back in the sea? You're a technician. I haven't done the technician role in a while. Like, yeah.
That's from Jack. So,
okay.
With Jack and the Entourage, they do essentially the pillars of which they teach that any entrepreneur will wear is a leader, entrepreneur, manager, or technician.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's helped me grasp my own role very well.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So the E-myth. Yeah. So you're big on systems.
Yeah.
I'm not strong there.
Huh? What do you? Okay, so I want to open that up a little bit. What do you think without the presence of systems, what's allowed you, other than the obvious of like positive cash flow, profitability, and so on, what's allowed you to scale fast?
Probably leverage of people on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably leverage of people on the internet. I know that's very simple.
No, I think that's a pretty broad and complex topic. What's something in your experience, and that, like, if we were to give people at home some advice on leveraging people and using the internet, what are some things that, like, your take home points that have actually really helped?
Well, look. Okay, let's take a great example. So, with that one magazine interview or front cover story, I was able to highly replicate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can have an interview with Richard Branson. That could be turned into an audio interview, video interview, magazine, blog post, email, social content, and that can then spread a message pretty broadly and wildly.
Yeah,
and
the power of owned media.
Yeah, and then let's even take that a step further, right? Like, who are these people, right? So then, how do you find really influential thought leaders in the market that you're looking to serve, and then effectively take or leverage their influence to build trust and credibility for your brand,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that one idea, and just doing it consistently. You talk about systems. We have a consistent system and process that is constantly refined for every single interview we create with the founder. So that has been refined over time. And like, you talk about systems and consistency. Every single Thursday, an interview goes out. Rain, hail, or shine, since I started this thing.
Yeah.
Every single magazine, like every single month, goes out in the middle of the month. Never stopped, and that system hasn't changed. So even though I say I'm not a systems guy, I'm not hardcore on it, and I've gone through waves where I have been and I haven't been, and now I'm less. I do like consistency and I do like process, but I think the problem, and I've found this, right? Like we went on a real tangent with Foundr one stage where everything had to be a process.
Yeah.
And what became apparent to me was people were so obsessed with the process, or is this documented, that we weren't even thinking about how to make it better. Like, the process was the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a trap you can fall in. And I've seen that in my own experience, where now it's just like, well, how can we just find really good, solid people that are thinking about how do I leverage my time, and how do I leverage the impact, and how do I get leverage for my role, and what success looks like. And yeah, part of it could be setting up a process, or part of it could be setting up a system and then optimizing that. But it's not, if the process is the goal, I think you've lost.
Yeah. I think even if we just highlight that word leverage, right, to create leverage, you need iteration, and you need to be critical. And if all you're doing is following process, you'll never get that.
Agree.
I think leverage is something that's very misunderstood in especially startup. A lot of people will rely exclusively on time or capital. And if you have, you have time, but let's say you're running thin on it, you're working all the hours, you don't have capital yet, the only way you're going to get to that next level is via leverage.
Yeah, I agree. Look, it's funny. I really like that word. I've never written a book. Maybe you could say some of the founder books I've written. I don't know. I'm not the author, but I've often thought if I ever wrote a book one day, maybe we'll see, it might be called Leverage, because that's something that I'm very interested in.
What does that word mean to you then?
I guess just this idea of doing something once and then scaling it out, or this idea of just taking something and really squeezing the juice. So yeah. So to answer your original question, how have I scaled Foundr? I'd say, and diving deep on the leverage, that one idea that people can take away. Like, I've looked at the content that we're putting out, because as a media business, that's how we started. Now we're really transitioning to an online education business, and we always kind of have been online education or ed tech. But yeah, I'm looking at areas within Foundr and how we can get more leverage for the work that we're already doing. Yeah,
it's like creating omnipresence, like using that one thing, repurposing it in every possible direction, like a spider web. Just branch out everywhere you can.
Yeah, so I'd say, to answer your original question, how have I scaled Foundr? Just leveraging the content, but then also having a strategic approach on how we position the brand and the people that we work with. And yeah, just trying to find a couple of growth channels, or a couple of things that work really, really well to grow us, and then just doubling down.
Do you think, because from all the content of yours that I've consumed, I've seen that there is a passion for upskilling and educating the masses. Where do you think, and probably it's a twofold question, where do you think that comes from for you? And two, why do you think education is important in the space rather than potentially, let's say, the other side of that coin of experience?
Well, the passion comes from, I love helping people. I have my whole life, right? And I think fundamentally, I think it's really cool to be able to create a product, or be able to be part of creating a product that helps a lot of people at scale.
Yeah.
I think that's a really rewarding thing, to be able to facilitate somebody's growth in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of our content is free.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's really cool, and that's a fun journey that we're on, to be able to, help facilitate somebody's growth, an entrepreneur, wherever they're at in their journey. So that's where that passion comes from. And then my own personal journey around, I'm a bit of a growth junkie. I like growth. It's fun. It's exciting. It's challenging. Something really exciting about building. I love to create. That's me. I'm a creator. I like to create. So there's that part of it. But then when it comes to education, it's a really interesting one, because throughout my personal growth as a CEO, one thing I've learned is the speed in which your company grows is a reflection of your own personal growth as a CEO or founder.
Yeah.
So I'll say that one again. The speed in which your company grows is a reflection of your own personal growth as a CEO or founder. So if we know that to be true, and I believe it is, then I believe it's your job to go out there and find people that have already done it.
Yeah.
And to learn from other people's experiences. Now, don't get me wrong. Experience is a great way to learn lessons. But where you can, it's in your best interest, if you want to get there faster, to learn from people that have already done it and learn from others' experiences. Now, will it hit as hard? No, probably not. But if you are actually serious about leveling up as an entrepreneurial founder, then education can be an incredible gift. And that's what we're all about at Foundr. We're just all about sharing other people's experiences in whatever topic, whether it's Facebook ads, e-commerce, B2B lead gen, how to get clients, how to grow your email, like how to make money with email marketing, or how to optimize your email marketing. Doesn't matter who's doing it And how can they just give that to you so
Yeah.
you can do it too?
It's the sword and the shield. Like the shield is the education, learn so you can protect yourself against the future, and the sword is the experience of like on the floor in the trenches experience. It's the ultimate battle guard.
Yeah. It's like why is Warren Buffett reading like a book a day?
Yeah.
Right? Because he's learning from the experience of others. And that's your job as an entrepreneur. If you want to level up, you need to learn from the experience of others, from my perspective. Now, I cannot be more clear. The personal experiences you get, those ones where you really fuck up and you're like, fuck, I've learnt from that. Yeah, of course, you'll never make that mistake again. But if you want to keep experiencing that pain every single day, like that, unfortunately, if you keep doing it so many times and as your business gets bigger, you don't have many of those shots.
No, yeah.
Right? So that's why, yeah.
And when those shots do come, they come with way more gravity as well.
110%.
Yeah. That's a very, I think that's a big hit home for a lot of people, just to make sure that like understanding that failure is also necessary, but as long as you learn, With, we'll close it out here, bro. Moving from startup to scale up, any tips for people that are going through it, and what are some learnings that you've had along the way?
Oh, look, the biggest one has got to be people. And finding really good people is tough.
Yep.
And it's not something, I can say that we don't always get it right, and that's okay. You got to give yourself the permission to not get it right. My biggest tips for people going from a startup to a scale-up journey, honestly, would be it's easy to be sold, and it's easy to get excited by somebody's experiences and the things that they've done or they've told you they've done. But I think the best way to really kind of validate that is look for people that have been on a journey in similar situational stages, right? So let's just say, like yourself, you have an online coaching business for fitness, right? Who in your industry here in Melbourne or Australia or even America, and let's just say hypothetically, your business is doing $2 million in annual revenue and you want to get it to 20, and you're looking for a COO, a right hand that can help you scale that. In an ideal world, to make sure you get an absolute home run slam dunk, is first of all, you find somebody that meets the values and the values that you believe are important, the behaviors and attributes that you believe are important to your company culture. And once you've got that tick, that's the first one. Then the second one is you need to find somebody that has actually gone on that journey, taking a business from 2 to 20 million, and they've been maybe a head of operations or they've ran operations, and they've seen the movie.
Mm.
And if they've seen the movie, that's how you're going to get a slam dunk. And that is my advice to anybody listening to this. Look for people that have seen the movie. And don't taint the movie. Don't taint the movie. If they've gone from 20 million to 50 million, they haven't seen that 2 to 20, might not work. Conceptually, they might tell you all the things they've done and you might be really excited and it might be impressive, but
like you said before, it's situational.
Correct.
You might not be ready to apply that knowledge.
Correct. And there's different stages. So really try and find people that have seen the movie, and don't mess up, don't mix up those stages. That would be my best piece of advice.
Nathan, that is a very big thing to end on. I think that's going to allow people a lot of perspective. So thank you for that. What has Foundr got going on at the moment, and what's coming up for Foundr? And we'll finish it up there. And where can people find you?
Yeah, so we're really, really excited to launch Foundr Plus. So that's our all-access membership pass. And really, at Foundr, we produce a lot of online courses with people that have actually done it in all sorts of topics. And we really want to build, an alternative MBA that's super cost affordable. It's like $1,500 a year, right? And the product gets better every single month. Like we're just about to launch this new benefit, or not a new feature, where all the software tools that you use, we've found like discounts and deals on every single one. Like it's over $200,000 in savings from software deals, right? So, that's going to be added to Foundr Plus, so to make it even more of a no-brainer, like Zoom and all these other tools that you pay for, right? So, effectively, Foundr Plus is our all-access membership pass to our courses, community, and proven frameworks from teachers and instructors that are actually doing it or have done it. So that's a big focus for us. We want to go all in on Foundr Plus. We want to build, the largest online business school in the world, and we just want to have one product, and that's where it's going.
One-stop shop.
Yep, 100%. So if people want to find out more, you can go to foundr.com and you can find out about Foundr Plus, or you can go to foundr.com/membership, and we'd love to help you on the journey.
Nate, thank you. Guys, this has been an absolute incredible episode. Make sure you engage with it, like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, man.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.